Prodigy before, so I'm going to start introducing myself that way. Um, I'm so excited. I know we're kind of at the end of it all. I know y'all are probably a little tired. We've got so much information and it's been a lot, but stick with me because I think this is going to be really fun and really informative, speaking on my own behalf. So actually, we're talking about understanding the nuances of social media platforms. We heard from Tony earlier about kind of all the platforms and how they work on the paid end, but I'm going to focus on the organic side of all of it. Um, excuse me, I got a bit of a cough, so excuse that. But we're going to get into it. Let's talk a little bit about who I am, what I do. My name is Nisha like Fisha, and I have always been that girl with a camera in my hand. When I was little, I was always, do you remember when you were little and you and your cousins would get together, create a little show or a little dance, bring it out for your parents and do it, and they would film it with their camcorder? I was the one directing those. I was the oldest cousin, and I was like, all right, girls, we're going to do this over here. And so I was a creative director at 3, basically. I just grew up doing that. I loved it so much. And then I actually went to school for biology because I thought I was going to be a doctor. That was hilarious because I pass out the side of like a paper cut, just a little bit of blood, and I'm on the floor. So that didn't last very long. I took a marketing class my freshman year, and I loved it. And I said, oh, I'm actually really good at this. And this doesn't feel like studying and suffering. It feels like a lot of fun. I really like this. And so I pivoted, and I did that full time. I graduated with a degree in business, and then I went on to get my master's in marketing and in management. And then I hopped a bit around. I was a copywriter for a while. I did ads for a while. And then eventually I settled into agency life, and I love it. It's very fast-paced. I get to work with all these fun clients we heard about earlier. And I am now the creative director at Sociallyin, so I get to work on a lot of fun content strategy. I get to work on photo shoots, video shoots, and basically creating content on behalf of all of our clients and kind of leading what that looks like. So I get to have a lot of fun at work, but that's a little bit about me. So let's dig into social media platforms at the root. That's what I want to talk about today. Obviously, we know that the theme is roots here today. And so social media at the root is a two-way platform, right? Before this, we've had print, we've had radio, we've had all these other things, billboards, right? And they were one way. We were telling everyone what we wanted them to hear, and we didn't know how they were reacting to that, if they saw it, how many people saw it, right? And with social media, not only are we able to get all of that data, we're able to see how many people are looking at it, how many people looked at it yesterday, how many people looked at it today, what kind of people are they, what jobs do they have, all this stuff, right? There's so much data there that we can curate. But alongside of that, we're also able to create relationships, and that is incredible. We're able to create community on these platforms. We're able to actually learn from our audience, and it becomes a two-way conversation. And so at the root, that's what these platforms really are about, and that's what I want to talk about, and how we can take the most advantage of that, right? All right. How's this mic working out? I feel like it's in my mouth, but it's good? Okay. So these are the platforms I want to talk about today. Obviously, there are tons and tons of other platforms, but at the core, these are the ones that I see and use and operate on the most. So we're going to talk about Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, previously known as Twitter, and TikTok. So let's get into it. First of all, who's on these platforms? These are just kind of fun ways that I look at the demographics on these platforms. On Facebook, you've got your friendly neighbor, right? Joanne down the street, what's she talking about? What does she want to see? What is she sharing with me? On Instagram, you've got your stylish visual storytellers, right? This place is all about aesthetics. It's about how good your content looks. And then you go over to LinkedIn. You've got your ambitious professionals, all of us here in this room, right? You've got business-minded folks. On X, Twitter, you've got your quick-witted news junkies, is what I want to call them. Basically, people who want to know what's happening in real time, people into the political climate, into pop culture, into, events that are happening around the world. So that's what's going on Twitter, on X. And then on TikTok, really we've got a lot of trendsetters. It is, I would say Gen Z is kind of pushing that to the forefront, but there are folks of all ages on there, and I'll get a little bit into that. But that's kind of the demographics that we're looking at, right, on these platforms. So really pay attention to that when your brand or you as an individual are getting on these platforms and you're trying to reach people. Think about if you're trying to reach an ambitious professional, if you're trying to reach someone business-minded about, your newest service offering, is TikTok the right place to be? maybe, maybe not. We'll talk a little bit more about the way you can kind of take advantage of these various platforms no matter what you're trying to say and what you're trying to get out there. But just think about where your audience actually may be. Okay, so there are two things I want to talk about before we jump into each platform, kind of really diving in. The first thing is community management. This is what I was talking about, building that community, building that rapport, building these relationships. Community service gives us the opportunity, community management gives us the opportunity to do two things. One, customer service. So before, we were hoping that people would call in on our hotline if they had a problem, but now we're super lucky because people will complain all day on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, right? And so we can actually respond to these now very publicly. So if people are leaving bad reviews or people are leaving a comment like, "Ugh, I didn't get my shirt in time, it was supposed to come 2 days ago," blah, 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 we're able as a brand to respond to that comment. Everyone can see our response, and we can kind of handle that in real time, right? And we can basically form some sort of relationship with this customer now and find a way maybe to ease that tension. The second thing we can do with community management is, like I said, build rapport, right? So we can create conversation. If you remember Amy Brown on Twitter, she really spiked it for Wendy's when she was going in with the comebacks and the insults and just really snappy type of tweets that she was doing. And many really great successful brands are doing this. They're creating their tone of voice and they're presenting their personality online. And then they're taking that and they're communicating with their audience, right? So it's a back and forth. And that's a really, really great way to use social. So comment on everything. When you see inbound comments or you see inbound messages, don't leave them there. Give them a like, give them a comment, respond, ask them a question, have them respond back. This is the value in these platforms, right? And you can do that on all of the platforms. The second thing is that format matters. And I'm a real stickler about this. Some people aren't, but if you're creating content, I know we heard from Judy Fox yesterday. She was talking about, this workflow of like how you're creating your content, where it's living, how you can create different types of pieces from one long form piece of content, and that's great and beautiful. And when it comes down to it, you want to make sure that that format matches the behavior on that platform. So for example, you can kind of see what these posts look like. The one on the left I would use on YouTube, and the one on the right I'd use on TikTok, right? Because YouTube is a primarily horizontal platform, and TikTok is a 9:16 vertical platform. So if I'm posting my 30-minute, really long, horizontal YouTube video on TikTok, and it either shows up really small or it's sideways, and I have to turn my phone, you kind of lost me. You lost that person that probably scrolled right past it, when really what you could have done maybe was take some chunks out of that YouTube video, create 9:16, clips, and post them on your TikTok with some good captions. And now, perhaps you've got someone who's interested in more, clicks on your YouTube, and then goes and watches the full video. And you're creating a network for yourself, right? So the format actually matters. And then it also matters when it comes down to the captions. So think, for example, if you're creating this really long form caption on LinkedIn, and then you've got like a nice link at the end leading back to your homepage or what have you, if you post that on Instagram, again, it's going to get cut off to where people have to click, see more. Are they going to do that? Maybe, maybe not. And then that link is not going to hyperlink, so they can't even click it anyway. It's a bunch of gibberish in the caption, right? So again, think about that. How are you going to reformat it? Maybe just take a piece of it and say, hey, link in bio, go check out the LinkedIn post, or go check out the website where there's more information. Just be thinking about that because it's really valuable when it comes down to it. Okay, now we're going to jump into each platform. Let's start with Facebook. So on Facebook, the largest demographic is really between the ages of 25 and 34. People have been talking about like, oh, Facebook is for the old folks now, and no one young's on Facebook anymore, and that's really just kind of a lie. There's still some young folks on Facebook, and what they're using it for is education and entertainment. So if you think about the audience on Facebook, what do they want to see? They want to see something where they're learning something, or they're laughing, they're getting educated, or they're getting entertained, and they're able to share that with someone else. It's a really great space for sharing other content. So most of the content that I see on my Facebook feed is one of my friends sharing something funny that they saw, sharing an article that they learned from, and so it's a really great space for that. Knowing that, think about how you're going to use Facebook for yourself or for your brand. It's, like I said, a great place to build a community. There are Facebook groups. Think about the Social Media Week Lima group. We're all in there. We're all able to create relationships with each other. We're able to learn from each other. There are folks I may never have gotten the chance to meet today who I may see a comment from in the group later and I'm able to respond to, and now we have a connection. Now we follow each other. Now we have this whole relationship, right? And so Facebook is a really great space to do that. So think about the content that you're putting out on there. Make sure it's not perhaps so salesy, but more so giving some sort of value to your consumer, and then follow that up with some good community management. Make sure you're actually creating this relationship and rapport with the people that are taking your content in on Facebook. Okay. So let's talk about Instagram. So on Instagram, the audience is a tad younger. Like I said, these are your visual storytellers. People on here want to see some really aesthetic, good-looking content. It's a great space for photos. It's a great space for video. If you have a production company or you're working on some really high-quality photos, this is the place for that. This is the place for showing off your best, most visually stunning pieces and your content. Instagram Reels is also kind of your biggest plug here. I'm always like video, video, video on Instagram because Instagram itself is pushing this. They want people to watch their videos, and so there's a broad reach right now with Instagram Reels. So if you're able to find a way, either from an existing long form piece of content, or if you are creating, regular shorts that you can place on here, this is the spot to do that. Instagram Reels has great reach right now. Beyond that, collaborating with other creators and influencers, this is a great space for that. So I don't know how many of y'all have seen those posts where, an influencer says, enter this giveaway. All you have to do is tag a friend, follow me, and then also follow the brand, right? This is a great space to do that because it's a low barrier to entry. It's really easy to be able to do those tasks on Instagram. People are willing to do them because, again, it's just low-hanging fruit. It's really easy to do. So as a brand, if you're looking to work with influencers or creators, this is one of the best spaces to do that. Again, because those influencers and creators are really good at creating fun, easy to look at, good, beautiful content that people want to see. So it's a great place for that. And then lastly, my favorite thing about Instagram, and I always push this with all of my clients, is what I call participatory content. So not only, we can take it like a step further from community management. Think about all of the tools that are built into Instagram already. Right now, on Instagram stories, you can use polls, you can do trivia, you can say, ask me a question. There's all this fun, there's sliders. I've done sliders for like market research purposes, honestly. So like what is your favorite burger at our store, right? And then we put all the burgers and we use the slider feature, and our audience is actually engaging with that, giving us a response. And at the end of the day, not only are we receiving engagement from our audience, we're also getting a lot of information about our burgers and maybe like what burger we should take off the menu or what we should add, etc. So participatory content is a big one. On Instagram, now you can even add polls into your captions. So I don't know if you've seen that. How many of y'all have seen that or used it before? 2 people, 3 people. Okay, a couple people. So if you haven't used it before, this is a great way to basically get some engagement on your post, even if you're just posting a photo. In that caption, you can add a poll, and you can have your, users basically easy to do. All they got to do, they see your post, they click a button. It's very low-hanging fruit. All right. Is that all I wanted to say about Instagram? I think so. All right, let's go over to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is our business-minded individuals, as we talked about. So this is a great space to share value to those people that are interested in what you have to offer. Insights, thought leadership content, long-form content like Judy explained yesterday, right? This is where people want to learn. They want to be educated, and they want to see what you know and that you're the expert in your space and that you have experience in something, and therefore they might want to work with you at the end of the day. It's also a great space for publishing case studies. So like I said, you're wanting to show off your best work. You're wanting to show off that you're experienced. So as a brand, if you have some great case studies from your clients, if you're able to pull even just one statistic and say, we helped this brand reach this many impressions in this much time, that's giving like a really short, quick, easy look to your audience that says, hey, we know what we're doing, and therefore you might want to work with us. You might want to get to know us. I get a lot of people who follow me on Instagram or follow me on LinkedIn and say, I want to work with you just because I see that you know what you're doing. And it's honestly as simple as that, but I'm just putting out content that shows, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. And so that's the place for it. LinkedIn is the place to show your accomplishments, to show off your team, The next thing I wanted to say about that is you can add in a human element here, right? So showing off your team, showing off behind the scenes, events that you may have attended or held yourself. Hey, this team member got promoted yesterday. These are the things people want to see on LinkedIn because they want to hear about your business. They want to see into your business. And again, kind of perhaps evaluate if you're a good fit for them or something they may need in the future. Lastly, participating in LinkedIn groups gets back to that kind of rapport thing that I was talking about, right? I keep talking about Judy Fox because she really hit the nail on the head with all the LinkedIn stuff yesterday. But she talked to me a little bit yesterday about your audience is in the room, right? You know that they're there. So in LinkedIn groups, these LinkedIn groups are typically people who all have the same maybe job position or people who are interested in a particular industry or topic. So you know when you're posting in that group exactly what they're interested in already. And most likely it's what you're posting about. So when you're posting it, you're not posting it hoping that people find it interesting. You're posting it to the people that will find it interesting. And it's a really great place to grow your network because perhaps all those people in that group don't follow you already, but now they may, right? They may see your content, they may share it with someone, they may follow you and connect with you to learn more. And so it's just a really great place, again, to kind of build a community, expand your network. Okay, let's talk about Twitter. So it's so hard for me to call it X. X now has more than half of their users are between 18 and 24 and are also male for the majority. I think it's 70% male if I remember correctly. So if that affects how you're approaching it strategy-wise, now you know. Like I said, this is for the quick-witted, real-time folks. This is for real-time conversations and jumping into what's actually happening within, outside of the internet. So think about the Olympics coming up. Thinking about things that are happening within the political space, things that are happening in pop culture, like when, Travis and Taylor happened, huge moment online, and everyone's talking about it, and everyone wants to jump in exactly when it's happening. Something interesting about Twitter, X, is that the shelf life of a tweet is about 15 seconds. That's crazy. 15 seconds until, maybe no one sees it again. So as soon as you post it, in that moment, you're hoping people are catching on to this, people are responding to it, people are interacting with it, unlike content on other platforms. So think, for example, I was talking to Roger the other day, and he said one of his videos from 4 years ago still gets likes, still gets engagement, and still is one of the most popular things he's posted. This isn't always the same on X, on Twitter. It's really more about real time, what's happening now, and then, then it's the next thing. We're on to the next thing. So, like I said, this is a great place to jump into real-time conversations. Keep it quick, keep it light, share timely updates, any news you may have, and if that's really not what you're looking to do as a brand, if you're more so trying to share, your case studies and your thought leadership, then perhaps this isn't the space for you. Okay. Now let's talk about TikTok. So TikTok would be my app of choice. I don't know about you, but I spend way too much time on TikTok. I love finding different niches and realizing I had passions I didn't know about and things I wanted to learn. I gain so much knowledge. Sometimes great, sometimes not so great, but it's a lot. It's just an oversaturated market as far as content. It's one of the few platforms where there's more content than there are users, and so to keep up with this platform, you've got to be posting pretty regularly, and again, you've got to be posting kind of in real time. The way that trends last on TikTok, sometimes they last for a month, and sometimes they last for one day, right? A trend can pop up, and you jump on it a couple weeks later and everyone's like, oh, they had to get that through legal, clearly, because it just took too long for them to get it out. TikTok is a spot for creating authentic and entertaining content. So same type of entertainment as we want on, on Instagram and on Facebook, but this is where people want to laugh, they want to learn, they want to feel something, and they want it to be real. So unlike Instagram, where you want this overproduced, really beautiful photos and videos, this is the spot where people really just want to see something real. They want you to pull out your iPhone, pull out your camera, and just take a video of your experience, and they really want to see that. For that reason, this is also a great space to work with influencers and creators because that UGC style content performs really well on TikTok. People don't want to see, a sales pitch from the brand. They want to see someone else purchasing a product from that brand, and then they want to hear from that person, what was that experience like? What's the texture like? Does it fit? That kind of stuff. And we're really able to see that through these creators on TikTok. So I actually I have a creator network across the globe, actually. We have creators all over with different styles that I get to work with on behalf of our clients. We basically send them products, or if it's a service space, we kind of talk them through. I give them a script, a creative brief. They create content on behalf of the client, and I get to kind of review it and chat with them. It's really, really fun to see how creators are just what styles they have, what they're using, what they're creating, and it just gives a whole new life to this platform that a lot of the other platforms kind of have taken on since, but didn't have before. um, TikTok is also great for challenges. We've all seen the dance challenges. We may have all tried them, and for the better or worse, it's a great space to jump into things that are happening and trending. So hashtags are a great way to find these challenges, and then audios. We've all seen these TikTok audios. TikTok audio, what I mean by that is that there are so many people out there creating original audios. So they're either taking songs that exist and they're remixing them, or they're combining them with another song, or sometimes original audios come from someone who, turned their camera on, started telling a story, and then maybe a clip of that story or a piece of that quote was taken out and made into an audio, and now everyone's lip syncing to it or sharing their videos to it, and it just goes viral. Just happens like this. It catches on like fire. And sometimes it lasts a long time, sometimes it doesn't. But these are a great way, if you're a brand or an individual on this platform trying to get, views, trying to get people to see your content, jump into those trends. Find those audios and find a way to make it relevant to what you're promoting or what you're trying to say, because eyes are on those trends. And whether or not, it relates exactly to what you're doing, it's up to you to kind of find a way to say, oh, I can make what I sell relate to this trend about, XYZ. And I kind of already mentioned it, but collaborating with popular TikTok creators and influencers, this is the space for that as well, because they're so talented. They're really good at, creating this content pretty timely. And if it's not your forte to get in front of the camera and create this, collaborate with someone. Find someone who's really good at it, work with them, and allow them to do it on your behalf. On TikTok, you're also able to use tools within the platform, kind of like on Instagram. I was talking about, the stories, the polls, etc. Do the same thing over on TikTok. So on TikTok, there are duets and stitches, meaning you can take a video that already exists and you can add on to it, right? So you can duet someone, meaning that you take their video and your video shows up next to it, or you can stitch someone, meaning you can take a piece of their video and add on your video to the end. So you're taking existing content that's already out there, that's already getting a lot of eyes, or maybe that asks a question that you want to answer, etc., and you're creating your own content piece from that. Super easy to do and super valuable way to do it. Effects on Instagram. We've all seen the filters, the ways that you can, there's like a little thing over your head and it circles and you try to figure out like which Taylor Swift era am I, etc. People love these and they perform really well. I help a lot of brands create these. So if that's something of interest to you, hit me up. But brands can find a way to say, hey, let me make an effect that everyone wants to use, make a filter that everyone wants to use. And then audio, like I said, audio is built into the platform. I don't know how many people remember, but Universal Music Group went through this whole phase. They removed a bunch of really popular songs from TikTok, and we all thought, is this the end? And it wasn't, because at the end of the day, there are so many original audios that people are creating on their own, and that's what people want to see. So, just a few takeaways. I know I'm out of time. I just want to cover 5 things. Number 1, format matters. At the end of the day, format matters. Don't forget it. Number 2, community management. Make sure you're actually talking to your audience. Number 3, create content that will live on that platform and actually engage the audience based on who's actually there. Number 4, use the native tools. Use what that platform is giving you. That platform will reward you for it because that's what they want you to do. And number 5, stay up to date. Stay up to date with what's happening on the platforms, what's all happening in the space, and I can help you do that. You should follow me on all of these platforms because it's all I talk about all day long is kind of what's going on in the space, what's changing. I actually have a weekly series on my LinkedIn called This Week in Social Media where I literally just talk about platform updates in a really short, quick minute. So hopefully this was really helpful. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate y'all being here today, and hit me up. Connect with me. Thank you.